Hello, students. We all know the Mahabharata, right? But have you ever thought, is it just a story, ek kahani, or is it actually history? Let's find out.
Now here's the really interesting part. The Mahabharata wasn't written in one day, or even by one person. It was written over 1,000 years. So the big question is, how can a story that took so long to write and that kept changing tell us anything real about history? Let's get into it.
All right, first things first. Let's just understand what we're dealing with. The Mahabharata is what we call a Mahakavya, a truly giant epic.
And when I say giant, I mean it. It has more than 1 lakh shlokas. That's huge. And at its heart, it's the story of a big family fight, a war between two sets of cousins, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, over their kingdom.
Okay, now look at this timeline. This is super important. The story started being written around 500 BC, but people kept adding to it for 1,000 years. New stories, new lessons. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, just getting bigger and bigger. It finally took the shape we know today around 500 CE.
So you might be thinking, okay, it's a big, old story. Why should a historian care? Well, because it's so much more than just a war story. It's like a treasure chest for historians.
And what's inside this treasure chest? It's full of clues about how people lived back then. We learn about their social rules, how families worked, their ideas about rishtadari, what the rules were for marriage, who could own property. All these little details tell us so much about their society and their values.
But there was a big problem for historians. They couldn't just pick up one book and say, this is the Mahabharata. Nope, it wasn't that simple.
Imagine you find hundreds of different diaries, all written about the same event. That's what it was like. There were hundreds of different versions of the Mahabharata all across India. So the question was, which one is the original? Which one is the real one?
So to solve this puzzle, a team of scholars led by a very smart man, V.S. Sukthankar, started a massive project back in 1919. Their goal was to create something called a critical edition.
And this was no small task. They collected manuscripts from everywhere, from Kashmir to Kerala. Then they sat down and compared every single shloka from every version. Can you imagine? This whole thing took them 47 years. In the end, they published all the common parts and noted down all the differences.
So what did they find after all this hard work? What was the asli such, the real truth? Well, what they discovered was really cool.
They found two main things. First, yes, there was one main story that was pretty much the same everywhere. But second, and this is the key point, there were lots and lots of differences, regional variations. People in different parts of India had added their own local stories and ideas to the epic over hundreds of years.
And what do these variations tell us? They show that the Mahabharata wasn't just a book written by powerful brahmanas telling everyone how to live. No, it was more like a conversation, a dialogue between the official rules and what normal everyday people actually thought and did.
So this is the most important thing to remember. For a historian, the Mahabharata is not a history book that tells you exactly what happened, like a news report. Instead, it's a source that tells us about their society, about their rules, their beliefs, and even their arguments.
Okay, Chalo, let's do a super quick revision of what we've learned.
So remember these points. 1. The Mahabharata was written over 1,000 years. 2. It's a great source for social history, not just a war story. 3. The critical edition by V.S. Sukthankar's team was a huge project that compared all the versions. 4. It showed there's a common story but also many regional differences. And finally, number 5, historians use it critically to understand social rules, not as a literal record of facts. Got it?
So, I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. When a story changes over time, does it become less true? Or does it actually tell us a bigger truth about the people who kept telling that story? Think about it. See you in the next explainer.